Hello, welcome. Today we're taking the catalytic converter off of our 2020 MT-10 and we're installing a Leo Vince mid-pipe. It's a very good upgrade. It greatly decreases back pressure and takes a lot of weight off the bike. You lose about 22 pounds. I apologize for the wind noise. I filmed the whole thing on my Mevo camera, which the external mic is terrible. And considering how windy it was, even the clip-on wouldn't have helped. So it's just easier to do a voiceover. We are living that apartment life, so we're being a parking lot mechanic today. But it was a beautiful day, so I was happy to. It's really gross out here. That's okay. I don't really care that much. I wish it was cleaner, sure. It'd be nice to have a garage, but I sweep up out there. I like to keep it nice. My neighbors don't mind that I work out there, so I do my part to keep it clean. Well, we're taking off that we start with the muffler. That is the factory muffler. See through there? As you can see through it. So it doesn't hinder, it doesn't add back pressure. You see a little bit of perforation in there, which helps a little bit with resonant reduction, but we maintain the factory muffler. It's a good one. One of these days I'll try it without the muffler just to see what it sounds like, but I haven't done it yet. Next up is the cables. So you take that housing off and it's just a push-pull setup down there, and then under the seat there's another push-pull servo and it's held down by a rubber band. You undo the rubber band, you can have the servo in your hand. There's two Phillips head screws. That top casing comes off and it's another push-pull setup. But the trick that I didn't realize until later in the video, I'm sitting here trying with needle nose pliers, not realizing that once you take the slack out of the bottom, it comes off super easy. I struggled with it for a few minutes. This is my trash guy. He's a good dude. I kind of signaled to him if he wanted me to move because we're still early in the, I can still move the bike, right? And he was like, nope, stay put. I was like, alright, you got it. He's a good dude. He's about 3 feet off the back of my bike. I chain my bikes to the little dumpster house because they have 2 poles cemented into the ground. I run chains through the tires. The neighborhood's safe. You know, they're cool about it, so I try to be respectful.
This is good timing, wasn't it?
So we kind of work through it a little bit. But we continue to struggle with the cables. It takes 2 10mm wrenches, or just one, because there's a little bracket holding the nut. So you just spin it off, and once you have enough slack, they come right off. And you have to keep the servo on the bike. It has to be plugged in. It doesn't have to have cables running to it, but it has to be plugged in for the ECU flash. Because to do this upgrade without an ECU flash is not good. You'll hurt your bike. It'll still run too rich. Too lean. And without the proper exhaust, it's running dangerously too hot. So always get your ECM flashed if you're gonna do intake or exhaust upgrades. And that's my next video, is the ECM flash and everything that went into it. Pretty straightforward. It's not a big deal either. If I could do it, you can do it. I'm pretty mechanically inclined, but I don't flex it often enough, so. And now we're messing with the top servo. You'll see me, I have it in my hand. I take a Phillips head screwdriver. I take the 2 Phillips out of the top housing comes right off. Now that they're slack, you can just boink, pull the cables out, put the cover back on, run the Phillips back down.
Alright, that was exciting. Just got squished by the trash man. That guy's a fucking boss, so yeah.
I always say thank you. I'm just throwing deuces to the trash man. He's a good dude. And next up is the heat shield. Actually, we crack the O2 loose, but then we take the heat shield off the cat just to give us a little bit more room to work. You don't have to do it, but it seemed like the next logical thing to do. And once you have the cables loose, just let them lie, because it's a lot easier to wiggle them out when the cat is gone. So once the top is loose, the bottom is loose, we'll get back to that. And there's one of my nice neighbors taking out her trash. Like I said, they're real cool. Nothing wrong with being a parking lot mechanic. You know, work with what you got. I'm blessed to have a parking lot where people are cool. And I'm a big fan of loud pipes save lives. This upgrade definitely makes the bike louder, but I don't believe in it so far as being obnoxious, right? One of these days I'll run it without that muffler just to see what it sounds like, but that day's not today. It's not much louder than factory, but factory it's like creepy quiet. So this is a good upgrade. The bike sounds way better. A lot more just throaty, you know, it doesn't, with the cat on it, it sounds real tinny. But we goof around with the cables and we realize, alright, let's take the cat off first. So we're loosening the first clamp and we're bumping the O2 out. There's enough slack in the wiring to where you can spin it out and just let it hang. Now we move to the other side to take the second clamp loose and then take that O2 out. And the connector is really easy. It's just your typical auto connector where if you can get your fingers on it, you take a little flathead screwdriver, you push down the tab, give it a swift yoink, comes right out. And for the ECM flash, you need to have for TWD, which is who I went through, Two Wheel Dynaworks, you have to have the O2s disconnected and the servo needs to be plugged in. So, and I like that because it just makes for a cleaner install to not have the O2s on there. And I'll cover that in the next video. O2s really don't do as much as you think they do. And those are the vent tubes. So one of those is your crankcase vent, one of those is your gasoline vent. It's pretty normal to see a drip or two come out of the crankcase, just because if you've been riding, it'll drip. So I park my bike in the same place every day, and so there's a few drops right there where I park it. It's totally normal. So we got the O2 off the other side. Now we're fixing to wiggle off that catalytic converter, but we forgot a bolt on the other side. So you'll see that in a few seconds. And just keep track of your bolts and your hardware. I put the cover back on that valve just to keep it all in one piece. Now we're taking out the principal bolts that hold up that cat. Forgetting one that's on the other side. There we go, we found it. We take that bolt out and she just shimmies right on out of there. Boom, 22 pounds gone.
Oh, I didn't get the fucking motor truth on camera. That's alright.
I'll give you a better view of that later in the video.
Right, set this
Now that that's out of the way, we can wiggle the cables the rest of the way out. And they come out super easy. There's one.
Alright, this one.
I'm kind of collecting a pile of stuff. I might weigh it and add that into this video somehow, maybe. That catalytic converter is a fire hazard. It gets so hot, it's ridiculous. But now we're working on that second O2 sensor. So you kind of trace the wiring up where it says Yamaha. That's right where the connector is. Now I cannot get my sausages in there, but if you can get it kind of pinched somewhere, you can take a flathead screwdriver.
Second O2 is out.
Lift that tab, give it a swift yoink, pops right out.
Two cables, two O2 sensors. I'm pretty sure one of the heat shields comes in.
So that's pretty much everything coming off the bike. Two cables, two O2s, and the cat. And I put the heat shield back on just to keep track of your bolts and work clean. And that is actually still sitting in the back of my car, the catalytic converter and all those components. Now I show you the inside of the cat.
You can see in there, you can see where the filter.
You can't really see inside, but you can see the valve.
You look in there, you can see that dumb little valve.
That valve only opens to 45 degrees. So it is a huge restriction.
Which is wonderful.
And it's purely for decibels, just to meet global emission standards, so not necessary. Especially here in Texas. Texas does not have emission standards for motorcycles, which is okay with me. Now that catalytic converter and all those components are in the back of my car. They're actually for sale. Actually, I take it back. They're for free. Now here we're putting in the block-off plates. I bought the Leo vents. It does not come with factory block-off plates. They do try to sell them to you for 25 bucks a piece. I got these off Amazon for 6 bucks a piece. The only downside is they're not drilled for safety wire. You can barely see it, but I'll show it later in the video. The Leo vents is wired for safety wire. There's a drill mark that goes parallel to the bung. that you can put safety wire through, and then those ones you get off Amazon, you can probably take them to a machine shop for $10 and they'll drill them for you. But I'm not taking this bike to the track, so I'm not worried about it. Well, you did notice that I used that nickel, that high temperature nickel anti-seize. That's the stuff you want. You'll find it in the exhaust section of the AutoZone or Auto Parts. That's the stuff you need. Don't get the other stuff that's rated for 1200 degrees, because it won't work as well. Now, it is toxic, so wear gloves. I didn't find that out until after the fact. I mean, I'm fine, maybe, but be careful. And now we're fiddling with the exhaust hanger, which I couldn't figure out. It goes right there, but the way I don't know if it sandwiches, if it goes in front, goes behind. So you'll see me kind of mess with it a little bit. I ended up not using it because by the time I'm done with the install, it's connected by the clamps from the headers, that first welded tang that you can see, and then by the muffler hanger. And so it's on there. I mean, it's solid as a rock. I've been riding it for 2 months and it hadn't moved a bit. I keep checking it to see if something's loose or if it's deflecting, and it's not at all. Me checking YouTube just to make sure I'm doing it right and see how that bracket works before I decide to just to hell with it. So now comes the fun part. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's how we do things around here. We start putting the muffler on. Well, and you're not looking at it, you're looking at me. Reposition the camera right quick. You can get a good shot of my bald spot there. But we start putting the muffler back on, and you'll notice that we start torquing everything up and tightening everything up, and the clamps are still loose on the headers. So start from the front, work your way back. So we'll get all this tightened up. I'll put the heat shield on, and then I'll realize that the clamps aren't on. But it's a beautiful day to be working. Like I said, this install is super fast. It comes with all the hardware you could ever need, and then some, because this kit is designed for this bike and the 2021 and up model, which is the newest gen. We get all that tightened up, and then we're like, oh damn, the clamps. Whoops. So now we have to undo everything. It's the story of my life, man. It's good because it's thorough, right? Like, you'll remember how to do it for the next time for sure. Because by the time I'm done with the job, I've already done it twice, you know. So now we're putting the clamps on. Shimmy that dude as far forward as you possibly can. And then you'll see a picture there. I didn't get the bolts even, but I was more concerned about how that clamp fits on the collar of the pipe. You want that to be nice and even. And I just noticed that there's wetness around my oil plug. So we're going to have to deal with that at some point. Not a big deal. And that's our little setup, working in the parking lot. So we got that bolting on, now we're bolting on. We got that bolted up. Now we're tightening everything for real, for keeps this time. And like I said, we got 3 points of contact. It's on the header, it's on that hanger, and it's on that muffler hanger. She's solid as a rock. I don't worry about it at all. She sounds amazing. I don't think I have good footage of a first startup, but I think I do. You'll see that in the two-wheel Dynaworks ECU upgrade and the auto blip kit that I installed, because it comes from the factory with quick shift down but not up, so we installed the up. Now we're cleaning it because that's a stainless steel exhaust, and you want to make sure all fingerprints, oil and stuff is off of that exhaust, because when you first fire it up, that oil will etch into the steel and it'll be there forever. And part of me thought that'd be awesome to leave a fingerprint on there, but I decided not to. So make sure it's nice and clean. Use brake clean or alcohol, something that doesn't leave a residue behind. Now we're just kind of cleaning up, putting all of our parts away, making sure everything's nice and tight. And then I'll give you a close-up of that block-off plate. Double checking everything. Okay, that's one job done. There's our brake clean. Real quick. The wind is terrible, so I'm pretty much telling you how I abandoned that last hanger, but it's fine. I'll figure it out one day, but not today. Nice and clean, very smooth install. O2 sensors look relatively clean, but still hot. That whiteness means that it's running super lean. Cables came out nice.
rose kettle and these off. These are nice and tight. Oh, I fucking touched them.
They are nice and tight. See right there in that scene, you can see the safety wire drill on the pipe, but not on the bolt.
So yeah, that's that. Next up, we're doing the bars. So wish me luck on that one.
Yeah, so this was a really easy install. I highly recommend anybody who has this bike. Just gonna back it up a frame or two. So you can see here that the block off plates that I got off Amazon, they're stainless steel. They come with copper washers. Again, you want to use the high temp nickel antices on them. But you can see they're drilled for safety wire, but the block off plates are not. So if you plan on taking your bike to the track, in order to pass tech inspection, you would need to have those drilled and then have a piece of safety wire run through there. But I don't plan on it, so I'm not worried about it. Just make sure it's nice and clean. And then the next video I'm going to put out is the two-wheel Dynaworks ECM upgrade and the auto blip up install, so that we have quick shift up and quick shift down. It worked out great. I did break something, but you'll have to find out what that is in the next video. But any questions, I'll be happy to answer all comments. I know this wasn't really a tutorial, but I hope you guys liked it. I'll catch you in the next one. Later.